I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. This boutique caters to a certain clientele, and I don't think you can afford anything here. All I'm doing is browsing. Since when does that require a credit check at the door? You'd be more comfortable at the thrift store down the street. This isn't a photo op for people who window shop luxury.
What would you do if someone judged you by your appearance, not knowing you held their entire future in your hands? This store manager made that fatal mistake, and what happened next will leave you speechless. Stay until the end, because the twist will blow your mind. It was a regular Tuesday morning when Maya Thompson walked into Luxe Fashion Boutique, wearing her favorite oversized hoodie and jeans. She had just finished a morning jog and decided to stop by the high-end store she'd been hearing so much about. The crisp autumn air had left her cheeks flushed, and her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked like any other person enjoying their morning, but the moment she stepped through the glass doors, she felt eyes on her. The boutique was stunning. Crystal chandeliers hung from high ceilings, marble floors gleamed under soft lighting, and mannequins displayed the latest designer collections. Soft classical music played in the background as well-dressed customers browsed through racks of expensive clothing. Maya took a moment to appreciate the elegant atmosphere, mentally noting both the positives and areas for improvement. "Excuse me, miss." A sharp voice cut through the air like a knife. It was Richard Sterling, the store manager, strutting toward her with a look of pure disdain etched across his face. His perfectly pressed suit and slick-back hair gave him an air of arrogance that preceded his words. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave. This establishment caters to a certain clientele, and I don't think you can afford anything here." Maya's heart sank, but she kept her composure, years of experience teaching her to remain calm in difficult situations. "I'm just browsing," she said calmly, trying to move past him toward a display of elegant evening gowns. But Richard wasn't done, not by a long shot. He raised his voice deliberately, ensuring everyone in the store could hear his next words. "Security, we have a situation here. This woman is clearly lost. Perhaps she'd be more comfortable at the thrift store down the street, or maybe one of those discount outlets at the mall." Customers stopped mid-conversation and stared. Sales associates whispered behind their perfectly manicured hands. Maya felt the weight of every judgmental gaze burning into her skin, but she stood her ground, a slight smile playing at her lips. She knew something Richard didn't, and his ignorance was about to cost him everything. The irony wasn't lost on her. She had designed this exact test, and he was failing spectacularly. Richard circled around Maya like a predator stalking its prey, his designer shoes clicking against the marble floor with each calculated step. His cologne was overpowering, matching his inflated ego perfectly. "Let me guess," he sneered, his lip curling with contempt. "You saw our store on social media and thought you'd come take some pictures for your little followers? We don't allow that here. This isn't a photo opportunity for people who can't actually shop." The other employees laughed nervously, exchanging uncomfortable glances, unsure whether to intervene or maintain their jobs by staying silent. The toxic culture was palpable, and Maya mentally noted each person's reaction. One brave sales associate, Jessica, stepped forward with genuine concern in her eyes. "Sir, maybe we should just let her." "Did I ask for your opinion, Jessica?" Richard snapped, wheeling around to face her with venom in his voice. "This is exactly why our standards have been slipping lately. We let just anyone walk in here, and it cheapens our brand. It dilutes what we've worked so hard to build. Do you understand what happens when we lower our standards?" He turned back to Maya, his voice dripping with even more condescension than before. "Tell me, what do you do for a living? Let me guess, you're between jobs? Or maybe you're one of those influencer types who thinks exposure pays the bills. Do you think likes and followers can buy a $2,000 handbag?" Several customers nodded along with Richard's words, their own prejudices confirmed by his authoritative tone. One elderly woman clutched her pearls and moved her purse closer. A couple whispered to each other while pointing discreetly. The discrimination was systemic, embedded in the very culture of this store. Maya remained silent, her expression unreadable, like a chess master watching an opponent make a fatal move. She pulled out her phone with deliberate slowness, and Richard's eyes lit up triumphantly, thinking he'd caught her red-handed. "See, I knew it. She's here to take pictures, probably to post some sob story online. Security, escort her out immediately. I want her off the premises before she can cause any trouble or damage our reputation." But wait, why wasn't Maya moving? Why did she seem so calm, so collected, almost amused? Why was that knowing smile spreading across her face? What did she know that was about to turn this entire situation upside down and inside out? The tension in the air was electric, and something huge was about to happen. As security approached, two burly men with stern expressions, Maya held up one finger with quiet authority that made them pause mid-step. "Before you touch me, I suggest you call your district manager. Better yet, call corporate headquarters. Tell them Maya Thompson is here, and she's conducting her unannounced store visit." Richard burst out laughing, the sound echoing through the boutique like breaking glass. "Oh, this is rich. This is absolutely priceless. You think dropping a random name will save you? Lady, I don't care if you claim to know the CEO. Wait. His laughter died abruptly in his throat as he saw Jessica's face go completely pale, her hand flying to her mouth. "Sir," Jessica whispered urgently, her voice trembling as she pulled out her phone with shaking hands. "Maya Thompson, that's the name of the new owner. The one who bought the entire Luxe Fashion chain last month. It was in the company-wide email. The one with her photo that you said you'd look at later." The color drained from Richard's face like water from a broken dam, leaving him looking almost ghostly under the boutique's flattering lighting. That's impossible. The owner wouldn't wouldn't come in looking." His voice trailed off as the horrible realization began to dawn on him. His career, his reputation, his entire livelihood was crumbling before his eyes. Maya's smile widened, but there was no cruelty in it. Only justice and perhaps a hint of satisfaction at a plan executed perfectly. "Looking like what, Richard? Please, finish that sentence. I want to make sure I include your exact words in my report to the board of directors. Go ahead, tell everyone here what you really think. What does an owner look like? What should they wear? What color should their skin be?" She pulled up her phone with practiced ease, showing her company ID badge, ownership documents, and recent acquisition papers. The official Luxe Fashion logo glowed on her screen next to her name and title, owner and CEO. The entire store fell into a heavy, suffocating silence. You could hear a pin drop, a heartbeat, the soft hum of air conditioning as the realization hit everyone present like a tidal wave. Security guards stepped back immediately, their faces flushed with embarrassment. Customers who had been nodding along with Richard suddenly found their shoes fascinating. The atmosphere had shifted completely, and everyone knew they were witnessing something extraordinary. "Let me introduce myself properly," Maya said, her voice steady but powerful, carrying the weight of 2 decades of experience and struggle. "I'm Maya Thompson, sole owner of Luxe Fashion's 73 locations worldwide. I started as a warehouse worker 20 years ago, sorting boxes in a facility just like the ones that supply this store. I worked double shifts, saved every penny, put myself through business school at night, and built my own fashion tech company from the ground up." She paused, letting her words sink in as she made eye contact with each person in the store. "I sold that company for $200 million and acquired this chain specifically because I believed in its potential, in its history, and what it could become. But more importantly, I acquired it because I wanted to prove that fashion should be inclusive, that luxury should be accessible to everyone who works hard enough to afford it." Richard stumbled backward, bumping into a display of silk scarves, his face now ashen and covered in a thin sheen of sweat. I didn't. The email said you'd be visiting stores unannounced, but I never imagined. Please, you have to understand. You never thought the owner would be a black woman in a hoodie?" Maya finished his sentence with precision, her words cutting through his excuses like a blade. "That's exactly the problem, Richard. That's precisely why I'm here. I've been visiting my stores for the past month, dressed exactly like this, sometimes in workout clothes, sometimes in casual jeans, once in my old warehouse uniform. And do you know what I found?" She walked slowly through the store, her footsteps echoing in the silence, every eye following her movement. "I found managers like you, turning away customers based on appearance, making assumptions based on prejudice, creating toxic environments where only certain people feel welcome. I found staff members afraid to speak up, like Jessica here, who knew it was wrong but feared losing their jobs. I found a culture that contradicts everything I want this brand to represent." She looked around at the gathered crowd, her voice rising with passion. "Every person who walks through these doors deserves respect. They deserve to be seen as human beings, not judged by their clothes, their skin color, or their zip code. That's the culture I'm building, and anyone who can't embrace that has no place in my company." Maya turned back to Richard with finality in her eyes, her decision already made before she'd even walked through the door. "You're fired, effective immediately. Your behavior today wasn't an isolated incident. It's a pattern I've observed through customer complaints and employee testimonials. You've created a hostile environment that's cost us customers, damaged our reputation, and violated every value I hold dear." Richard's face crumbled, tears actually welling in his eyes as the reality hit him. He tried to protest, to apologize, to beg, his words tumbling out in a desperate rush. "Please, Miss Thompson, I have a mortgage, a family. I've been with this company for 8 years. I can change. I promise I can do better. Just give me another chance." Maya simply shook her head, her expression firm but not without compassion. "Your actions today showed me everything I needed to know about your character, Richard. This wasn't a mistake or a bad day. This is who you are. And who you are doesn't align with who we need to be. Security, please escort him out. HR will contact you about your final paycheck and exit paperwork." As Richard was led away, his face buried in his hands, Maya turned to Jessica with a warm smile. "Jessica, you tried to speak up when it mattered. That takes courage in a toxic environment. You're now the interim manager. Let's sit down this afternoon and talk about creating an inclusive training program for all our staff, a system where employees feel safe reporting discrimination." Then she addressed the entire store, her voice carrying hope and determination. "To everyone here, staff and customers alike, I want you to understand something fundamental. Treat people with dignity, regardless of how they look, what they wear, or where they come from. You never know someone's story, their struggle, or their success. And more importantly, it shouldn't matter. Kindness isn't just good business, it's being human. It's what separates us from our worst impulses. The customers erupted in applause, some wiping tears from their eyes. Maya purchased several items that day, including that oversized hoodie dress she'd been eyeing. But more importantly, she changed the entire culture of her company, one store at a time. Word of what happened spread through social media within hours, and Luxe Fashion stock price actually increased as customers praised the company's new direction. Jessica became one of the company's best managers, implementing training programs that became models for retail stores worldwide. And Maya? She continued her surprise visits, always dressed casually, always watching, always ensuring that every customer felt like they belonged. This story proves that karma is real and respect costs nothing. Never judge someone by their appearance because you never know who you're really dealing with. Maya could have been anyone, a millionaire, a struggling student, a hardworking parent, and she would have deserved the same respect regardless. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button right now. Subscribe and hit that notification bell because we bring you incredible real-life stories like this every single week that will restore your faith in justice. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today, someone who's been judged unfairly, or someone who needs a reminder to treat others with kindness. Now here's my question for you. Have you ever been judged based on your appearance, your clothes, or where you came from? How did you handle it? Did you speak up or stay silent? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and the best story gets featured in our next video with a special shout-out. Let's build a community where respect and kindness win over prejudice and judgment. Together, we can make a difference, one story at a time. See you in the next one. And remember, never judge a book by its cover.